Hey everyone, this is Oscar from Underdog, and you may recall that a few weeks ago I did a video about managing your decay tails and how important it is to get your decay tails under control for the snappiness of your track. And I was quite proud of this video, and I'm really like, yeah, I'm dropping some knowledge on the world about the importance of decay tails. And 2 days later, I have a call with my mastering engineer, and he's like, Oscar, we really need to talk about your decay tails. Okay, let me explain how we got to this point. In the video on decay tails, I showed you two examples of the same song, one with uncontrolled decay tails and one with controlled decay tails. Uncontrolled, it sounded like this. And controlled, it sounded like this. I use this example as a hook to talk about the importance of envelopes and different ways to shorten your envelopes and make your envelopes a little bit snappier in order to serve the bounciness of your track. Now, in the meantime, while I was making and publishing the Decay Tails video, I had a track waiting to be mastered. It's the Face the Sun collaboration with Guy the harpist, and I had exported a pre-master and sent that to my mastering engineer and good friend Remy. You'll find his contact details below if you need any of his services. And so listening to the pre-master, Remy says, okay, wait, before I master this, there is something that you can change in the production that's going to make everything better in this mixdown. Let's have a call about it, okay? And so this is the pre-master that I sent him with nothing on the master bus. Can you hear what's wrong with it? Maybe not. But remember, Remy has an almost perfect sound system and listening space and level 9000 hearing. So he hears things that almost none of us will hear. And that's the benefit of having a dedicated mastering engineer, right? And so on the call, he says, Oscar, your bass is too long. The decay of your bass is too long. You need to shorten the decay of your bass. Why? Well, because the bass never stops. It goes boom, 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 boom. But that rings out enormously long as boom, 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 boom. So the sub energy in your woofer, or in your speaker, never actually goes to zero. It always keeps going. And whilst that might sound good on a small sound system or in your home listening environment, it might sound warm. Once you amplify that to a bigger club type sound system, you're going to be sacrificing a lot of impact and punch, because the sound system where it gets listened to and the listening environment is undoubtedly also going to be adding its own bass character to that bass that's already a bit overwhelming and is likely just going to become a soup. The woofer should stop at some point in the loop to give the cone a chance to come back to zero so that the next hit can be impactful. This is coherent with deadmau5's rant from a few years ago, if you remember that one.
So I'm like, bro, kicks don't make bass. Kicks make kicks. Bass makes bass. Use bass for bass.
And his point of view, which is backed up by many years of experience listening to club sound systems, is that if your kick needs tuning, it might be too long because the kick needs to thump, then needs to leave space for the bass, then there needs to be silence, and then the next kick has to thump. That's a low end that's really going to make the woofer work. It's going to make the woofer get going, stop, get going, stop, and that's what's going to feel like impact in a club. So this boom, 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 it needs to be fixed, and we're going to show you how to fix it. But first, there's a very important side note that needs to be made here, and that is that you don't want to sacrifice your artistic vision for technical considerations almost ever. If you can avoid it, it should never be the case that you want to make something where the bass is enormous, and then the engineer tells you, yeah, but your bass can't be enormous. The artistic consideration comes first and the technical consideration comes second. This is one of the reasons I don't like people advising you that you can't program a kick and a bass hit at the same time. Because then they'll say things like, oh yeah, phasing issues and slams into the limiter too hard or whatever technical consideration. But if your artistic vision is to put the bass there, then the bass has to be there. And in this song, I really wanted this overwhelming bass, this bass that is long, sustained, and hits at exactly those moments. So for me, that was a no compromise. But let me show you instead what I did. All right, so here is the production. At this moment of the production, we're coming up from a trilogy break. This is the rise of the trilogy break. Cool, into the dance groove. Okay, and so this is the bass that never stops. This is the bass. Let me turn it up on my end. never really stops, even though it's sidechain compressed and stuff, but that's not really enough. It just keeps tailing on. So what I did, because I had actually recorded this from a synthesizer, I recorded on my little Moog Sub 37, I was stuck with this as audio, and so no amount of fancy schmancy envelope nonsense is actually going to help at this point. So instead, what I did was, I went in old school and I cut it up by hand. So this is the new version and this is the old version, right? And so you can see that all I did was cutting out little bits of silence to allow the woofer to go to its resting position and to create more contrast between the on and the off. Let me show you the alt version. So this is sloppy. This is tight. It's subtle, right? It also has a pretty significant dynamic dip around 80 Hertz, which is where most of its energy was, so that the rest of the harmonics can come out louder in the mix, making it subjectively feel louder. So when you've only got this AB, you might think, of course, that this version sounds better. But in the context of the overall mix, this allows everything else to open up. This is a version with a lot more punch to it on a bigger sound system than this. In comparison to the kick drum now, this one sounds flabby and uncontrolled. You hear that? This one is more at the same level as the kick, and so the units together feels larger. Compared to this one now, which is ultra flabby. And so now if we want, we can compare the pre-master to the mastered version. I have matched their levels, so you're not going to get that characteristic big loudness boost that you're going to get when a lot of people do this like unmastered versus mastered comparison, which is a bit cheating if you ask me. You know, people show you the pre-master, which is super quiet, and then the mastered, which is super loud, and of course the loud version sounds better. If you take the pre-master and the mastered version and you put them at the same RMS volume more or less, then you get to hear really the sound quality changes that have happened. So my pre-master. And remember that no amount of online automatic mastering services is going to be able to give you that feedback that Remy gave me, which was clean up your darn decay tails, practice what you preach. If you're going to go tell the whole internet how important it is to clean up your decay tails, maybe you should try doing it for yourself every now and then. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found yourself in a similar kind of situation. Go stream this song. It's now out on Spotify. It's under Face the Sun, called The Maze, and it's featuring Guy with his amazing blue harp. If you want to make music like this yourself, go follow my Foundations of Electronic Music course. Like this video, please, to help me with the algorithm. Subscribe, and until next time, stay producing, be good to each other, and take care. Bye bye.